Hello everybody. Well, as I've stated quite a few times, but I've actually started looking at the calendar and realizing, wow, time sure does fly. When I get into school, I'm basically going to be focused on school. And that's going to have to mean that this channel, at least during school, is going to have to go away. Or at least not go away, but not be updated because I have to focus on my studies. That doesn't mean during breaks or vacations I might do some sort of contributing, but the other end of this is I've got a life to get to. And some of the stuff that I do, even though it shouldn't put myself or anybody else that I care about in danger, does just that. When you challenge the status quo, there are people who are literally willing to kill to keep the status quo running. And I find that rather disturbing, but I digress. The point is, I believe I need to come to a stopping point as far as my main updates for my channel. The first thing I'm going to be stopping is picking out articles daily to cover on my channel. It's not easy for me to do, but to be honest with you, it's really derailed a lot of the work that I do, and it's taking away time from these 10 topics that I do believe are the ones that I want to speak on before letting my channel speak for itself. That doesn't mean that I won't, that once these are finished, I'm going away. I will still interact with the community. You guys subscribe to me for a reason, and it wasn't for me to basically be like, hey, here's all this content that you guys mostly like from me, and it's gone. You know, no. And I'm probably still going to try to do guest spots when applicable to my life and my scheduling. For channels like The Sexual Futurist, who if you're not subscribed to, I highly recommend you subscribe to them. But the point is, I have to wind this work down. I have to start focusing way more on everything else that has to do with getting my life finally together in ways that I should have done years ago. And yeah, I was really bad and I was really stupid at times, but I was also dealing with a lot of things that most of you couldn't even possibly begin to imagine having to deal with. Not that I'm giving an excuse, though. You better believe I'm trying to make up for lost time as it is with the stuff that I'm trying to do. But I digress. So I came up with about 10 different topics, all of which are going to take varying degrees of time to get finished with, that are going to be my magnum opus, as it were, the coup de grace to my channel, and what I think is the perfect send-off to what this experiment has been about. And don't think that this hasn't been an experiment on some levels. I came on here not fully sure of myself, but feeling like I was ready to get out here and make my voice heard. And much to my surprise, or partial surprise, because I'd done a lot of internal work on myself, thanks to introspection, and I've been able to stand here in front of you, fight with some of you, and stand by my points, or to make apologies when I'm actually wrong, which I've done even in more recent videos, like one of my last Anita Sarkeesian videos that I had uploaded. And so, for the most part, this has been very successful. I've shown myself that I am a strong individual, that I am more than what so many people had actually said that I could have ever been, because people had very, very much underestimated me. And if anything, that's what I'm going to walk away with here. I'm not going to say I can suddenly fly or punch through mountains with my bare hands, but I could certainly do a hell of a lot more than I used to do. And in a way, doing this YouTube thing has brought so much to my life. It's brought me a lot of genuine friends. It's brought me a lot of food for thought. And it's created something in me that I don't think would have been there without this channel and without me taking the steps to be here. So without further ado, here is my list. Topic 1. I want to finish the video game indictment series. I had a good start with the effects, or the non-effects, as the media has tried to dub, of video games on your average, normal, well-adjusted individual. As well as the fact that, to be honest with you, and I probably am going to need to make some clarification videos before I continue this series, I don't want people thinking that video games should actually be banned for specific people. I think parents need to step up and be parents. But I digress. There's so much that I wanted to cover, so many contradictory issues with the gaming industry that they themselves present, so many contradictory messages, all of which hurts the consumers, not the industry, though by the fact that they're doing these things actually hurts the industry by the things that I'll be talking about. I don't have any major goal other than to say, well, if you want to continue to support the industry as it is, you're more than welcome to, but it actually would benefit from a crash. And I'll go into why at the very end of that series. But I do believe I need to say the rest of what I wanted to say. I've got the research, I just got to present it. Number 2, finish my vaccination series. It boggles my mind that people will believe Jenny McCarthy that vaccines are poison when she herself is pro-Botox, which is a poison. So let me get this straight. You're with her when you hear her talk about poisons that have, oh, by the way, actually have demonstrable effects on major crippling, at times, diseases. But yet, you believe in her message of promoting a poison when it's for beauty. Yeah, no, there's no conflict of interest there. Number 3, the impact of sex negativity on society. I know I already started talking about this, but I want to focus the series and I want to go chapter by chapter, information study and statistic by information study and statistic, and really try to make my case. I know some people will still cling to their idea of social morality and that sluts are necessarily a bad thing, and to become a slut is to become a non-person, and that men can be sluts, but it's not so much frowned upon, although I will be challenging a bit of that in certain ways as well, again with facts and statistics. Number 4, I want to give the talk, or at least a framework of the talk on sexual education that I would give to my son, so that people who come to my channel and find that particular series will not just get, a lot of the textbook ideas out there, but I'm going to also delve into things like polyamory and try to give the next generation the keys they need by which to have a safe, consensual, and safe, sane, and consensual sexual experience when they become themselves, develop into sexual beings, and might be able to make better choices than I ever made, armed with the knowledge that I never was given, because I was given the very sex negative talk, and that doesn't work. That doesn't help people, and I'll be illustrating why through the sexual education talk. Number 5, issues men face and why we shouldn't just shut up. I've gotten rather sick of people painting MRAs with a broad brush and saying, oh, you're just a whiny, entitled white man complaining about things. I'm very, in fact, angry that people will say, well, we can't care about men's rights because of correctional rape of lesbians. Yeah. You do realize correctional rape of gay men in South Africa, as well as bisexual men and even of transgendered men, happen, right? You're trying to say that men's rights shouldn't be focused on because of correctional rape of women when you aren't even presenting the fact that men are getting raped under this as well. Can you now see why I'm angry at people who have tried to propose this? But I also want to make the caveat that, well, aside from me not being an MRA, is that I'm not proposing that men's rights need to be the only focus of things, that we got to drop everything, guys, because guys are being oppressed or guys are having issues, legal issues that shouldn't be possible for women to get away with, and so on and so forth. I am saying, though, don't sweep it under the rug and tell me that that's justification, especially when you yourself are a humanitarian. And no, before certain people start asking me, this isn't towards somebody specific, because some of the people who have said this aren't the only ones who are saying almost the exact same message and ignoring exactly when it's happening to men, which was the entire point at times of the MRA. But I digress. I want to get very deep into that topic, because I think people are not doing this anywhere near the due diligence and acting as if they are. And it's not just one person, so just please understand that, because I don't want people who I know and respect to think I'm picking on them. If it were simply you, then I would address you. But I digress. There is a point to it, and a point I think needs to be made, because I think that people are whitewashing things that they should know better about. And it's happening in mass. Number 6. Why I'm not an MRA, a feminist, an atheist, etc. I'm going to go into the psychology of it all. Not that I have any psychological hang-ups, but the psychological hang-ups of groups and monikers and labels, and why I don't ascribe to those. Number 7, I've actually started an extensive researching on, and I've got quite a lot of data. It's Barbie and eating disorders. I think it's utterly ridiculous that they did a redesign because they felt that Barbie was creating eating disorders. Just like with media, not actually creating eating disorders in girls who did not otherwise have an inclination for it, or not really creating it at all, that doesn't mean that media or Barbie is entirely absolved. But if we're going to blame them for people's personal issues here, then I have an issue. And so I'm studying when Barbie came out, and I'm trying to get solid facts on eating disorder statistics to see if there is a correlation or a connection. So I may actually come out against my own premise of my series, though so far the statistics actually seem to be on my side. I bring it up in a way because it is a social issue, because it's passing the buck and blaming something innocuous for what, and not taking responsibility when something is the responsibility of the individual, not the responsibility of society. Number 8, the danger of gender roles and how they hurt men and women, and how useless they really are, or destructive they actually are. Number 9 is actually probably should be switched with number 10, but I digress. Number 9 on my list is parting words for the young and activists. I've done a little bit of this, but again, I want to bring in a focus and try to get people into an idea of what to expect, what not to come into this with an expectation of, but why this is important, why your voice matters, and that even if you're just one person, you should still have a voice, and so on and so forth. And number 10 is American history, because this does deal with social issues. We have different parties of political parties of people, as well as people on the streets, who have such an ignorant, watered down idea of what history is, and try to apply it or use it as one of many excuses for hatred or other things that have no place in American society. Not the least of which is the fact that America is not named after an American. He's not even named after a white person. That's what's so freaking funny about this. We act as if America is a territory, that we've pissed on it, therefore it is ours, like territorial pissing. And that if you're anything other than a white American, you need to get the F off of our land. And I want this to stop. I want people to understand where we've come from, how much of a conglomeration of different cultures and everything else that America is, so that you do not have the excuse after that kind of a series to cling to your stupidity.